Good morning. As Brother James said, I got to experience Camp Adventure as a camper the last 2 years, and this year is my first time experiencing it as an aimer. And before I begin, I'd just like to say I'm very blessed and honored to be able to share my experiences from Camp Adventure with you. So glory be to God. The first time that I got to go to Camp Adventure, I was in my brother's class, and he's from the class of 2015. And basically the reason why I came was just to visit my brother, just to see him one more time from Christmas. And so that was pretty cool. But once I got down here, there was a whole new world. I saw so many things that I didn't really expect to see. And the first thing I saw was, I remember Pat was saying that the Bible is absolutely worthless without God, saying that it was just a book. If there's no power in God, then the Bible is just a book. But there is power in God because it's lasted 2,000 years. And so that was kind of a revelation to me, kind of an eye-opening experience. And that was my first impression on Camp Adventure. And it just started off with a very blessed week. I got to see aimers being neighbors to one another. I got to even tag along with one of the aimers to bringing just summer sausage to another aimer, just being a good neighbor, a good brother to one another. And I thought to myself, that is something that I would really like to experience, something that I would like to have relationships like that. I got to see people serving their community, because on one of the days we get to do a community service project, and they assign us to a place, and they just say, all right, go there and just do what they ask you to do. And so we get there, and seeing the faces of the people, of us just going there and serving them on some random day, it brings so much joy, and it makes you obviously feel pretty good. Now, I got to see role models who were showing us how to worship God. These were people that I looked up to. I mean, not in really a physical sense, because I've been 6'5" for a few years now. But I really looked up to them in a way that I respected them, and they just kept bringing in the respect, saying, this is how we worship God. We're going to come together as brothers and sisters, and we're going to pray and sing, and we're just going to learn as much as we can and take it all in. And seeing them do that gave me more influence to want to do that as well. And when we were sent to do service projects, when we were asked to pick up plates and stuff, I didn't see a single person groan and complain. I didn't see anyone say, wow, I sure wish I could just sit here instead of picking up stuff. They got right on it, and they did it enthusiastically. I saw a lot of individuality. I saw a lot of people wanting to do their own thing to serve. And they did. They would go over and pick up plates without being asked. They would clean up trash without being asked. And they would go and meet new people without being asked. But then I saw a lot of teamwork. And that was something that kind of opened my eyes too, because, of course, I spent many years in a youth group, and I had to work with them on numerous occasions. But I saw genuine teamwork of people that wanted to do something for a greater good, unite for a greater good. And that was my first year at Camp Adventure, only coming down to see my brother, but I was interested. Now, not only was I coming down to just visit, but now I think maybe I want to do this. So I come back the next year for the class of 2016, and I came in with a new mindset, not of just let's just see what this is, but let's dive in, let's get fully immersed into this. And so now I'm completely interested in, or at least somewhat interested in AIM. And so I want to see the aimers' perspectives and see what they're like. And from that kind of perspective, I saw a lot of leadership coming from campers. I saw people that wanted to make new relationships and do a lot of service for God. And some of those people ended up being really close friends that are in this class now. I saw aimers that were striving to meet us, because that's kind of one of our priorities as being an aimer, is to meet new people, is to get involved with the campers. And so I saw a lot of people that wanted to talk to us, a lot of people that wanted to hear our story and see kind of what our interests were, what our plans were. And that makes the campers feel really, really special. And it makes us feel just blessed. I also saw people that were educated in the Bible. There were so many campers that came this last year that we had to put people in the loft, and I was blessed to be in the loft, and I got to meet a whole lot of people, and we bonded through that. But I remember seeing Rex talking with people, and he was talking with them in depth about the Old Testament, and I vividly remember thinking to myself, I want to know that much. And so that's one of the reasons why I came to AIM, is to learn more about Old Testament, New Testament, learn about Paul's missionary journeys and all of that. One of the really big things about Camp Adventure is this game called 9 Square. And it's this big PVC pipe court in which you move around the whole square bouncing a volleyball. And at one point, this one person jumped up on my shoulders, and we used teamwork to get to the middle, and we ended up winning. I mean, it helped because we were a good 7 feet in the air, but it was good. But it's that kind of teamwork, it's that kind of bonding that really brings Camp Adventure together and what makes people really enjoy it. Now, I saw Christians being together in a place where we could worship and sing and pray, and there is a plethora of things that we could have been doing instead of Camp Adventure, what the campers could have been doing. We live in the 21st century. You could go bowling if you wanted to, and you could do literally anything. But they all came to Camp Adventure where they can make new relationships and bond and get out of their comfort zone. And that's kind of one of the things that I got to experience. I wanted in on the action, and I absolutely craved it. And so after I got home from last year's Camp Adventure, I immediately filled out my application and got all the things that were required to be in AIM and stuff. And so I got that done as soon as I can because I was so enthusiastic. I was so on fire for Christ after that Camp Adventure. But one of the things that I really, really remember is the cultural breakfast. And I remember the whole diner area in the Family Life Center looked, it was dark, but it had just some lights, and there was crazy music playing, and we were eating some kind of food. And I remember thinking to myself, this is really, really neat to experience a new culture in a sense. And that's one of the things that got me interested in Bolivia. And so I put that as my top 5 fields I would like to go to. And sure enough, now I'm coming to Cochabamba, Bolivia. And I'm going with my roommate, Connor. And I can't picture a better team and a better field that they could be sending me to. And right now, I am strongest that I've ever been in my faith. And spiritually and all that stuff, I'm strongest now because I attended Camp Adventure. And all because I decided to visit my brother in Camp Adventure. I am growing more and more every single day. But glory be to God.
Good morning. So I came through the AIM perspective. Before I came to AIM, I've never been to Camp Adventure. And honestly, I wish I would have known about Camp Adventure because it is such a blessing. When I came into AIM, I came in blinded. I didn't know nothing about it. I didn't know what it was. I was taking a chance because I didn't have nothing else to do. And if AIM failed, I didn't know what else I was going to do. But it helped me. And Camp Adventure, in just 2.5 days, campers grow so much. I think her name was Amber. When she got to Camp Adventure, she didn't want to talk to nobody. She didn't like speaking in large crowds. That was just like me. I couldn't believe it, and after those 2.5 days was over, she was speaking in large crowds. She was having fun and everything, and I guess I was sort of jealous of her. And all the campers that came through there, I saw a lot of hard workers, and they're so eager just to jump in and to serve the community, and I met a lot of awesome people, and all the aimers, they all jumped in and helped them. And I wish I would have experienced that, experienced the love of and the joy of the aimers, so I can know what AIM is all about and come into a better relationship with God and get into a relationship with God, honestly. During Camp Adventure, we hung out a lot with the campers. We played games a lot. We didn't just do work. We didn't just do service work. We actually played games. We played games a lot. We hung out with them a lot. After those 2 weeks, I was a little tired, but it was actually all worth it. During Camp Adventure, we got the privilege to hear two speakers, Billy McGuigan and C.L. Thomas. First off, Billy McGuigan is an awesome speaker. He's so funny. It's awesome. If I was able to jump into Camp Adventure like I am now as an aimer, I would have seen what AIM and what God and the Bible and Jesus is all about. And Camp Adventure from an aimer, you get the privilege to work with not only just young people, but young people eager to learn. Young people eager to learn about God and get into and trusting God and putting the whole faith in just 2.5 weeks, 2.5 days. They could have slept in that Saturday and that Friday, but they jumped out of bed and got up with the camp with us aimers. And Saturday, I believe we done the cultural breakfast, and our campers had to get up about like 5:15. They could have slept in that day, but they jumped out of bed and helped us with everything. The campers was just they're awesome, and the aimers just helped them out a lot. The assistants, they helped us out a lot. Whatever we needed struggles, they helped out. Then I saw a lot of growth in just these past 2 days. It was tiring, but it was all worth it. I just wish I could have had the privilege of going to Camp Adventure, but instead I didn't get to. But I would recommend Camp Adventure to everybody because it is worth it. Even if AIM is not the place for you, through an aimer, it's all worth it because you will grow in many areas that you don't think you could grow in. Just like Amber, she didn't think she would. She was speaking in large crowds in just 2.5 days. It took me almost like 6 months to do that. Yeah. And you have a lot of support through us aimers. You have a lot of support through your family, through everybody. And I would recommend this Camp Adventure to anybody that is able to come. Because me, I didn't know anything about it, and I wish I could have been like Amber and come to Camp Adventure so I can grow a lot. Thank you.
You guys are going to stand up again?
You about why Camp Adventure Weekend and Camp Adventure Week fit into the total vision of AIM and even SIBI as a whole. Whole people, whole gospel, whole world, holy to please God. That's very much what we're about, and as we work in AIM as well. Our theme for this year that disappeared was still following. And that's our focus is we tell them we're not so much interested in what you would do in AIM, but we're interested in, are you still going to be a lifelong follower of Jesus? Are you going to be a follower of Jesus 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, and so forth? And that was our focus with them. Those were what the lessons were about with Billy and Thomas. I would encourage you to go online to see those lessons. They were recorded. They were just really powerful lessons. And one of the things that was interesting to me, a parent came to me afterwards that heard Billy speak and just said, man, this wasn't for teens, this was for anybody. Anybody who heard this lesson would be benefited from what they heard. But as I think about this and why it is good, why Camp Adventure Weekend and why Camp Adventure Week is good for AIM, it's one of the unique things, and I think about my time in AIM whenever I was an AIMer in Moscow. And it was just a few years after communism fell, and we did a lot of things with Let's Start Talking. I had so many Bible studies, I didn't know what to do with them. I had lots of one-on-one studies, lots of group studies almost every evening. But right now, if you tried to do the same thing in Moscow 20 years later, you're probably not going to get the same result. You're not going to get the same result. This is a wave that we're enjoying right now. In the past, we've had about 15 or 20 come to Camp Adventure Weekend. The last 2 years, last year we had 57, this year we had 58. And it's like, okay, let's enjoy this wave while it lasts. We've been looking at some statistics. This present AIM class right here, 50% of them went to a Camp Adventure. And the thing that I love about it is we have a lot of events, even this year. Pat's organized 14 new events that AIM is going to recruit at. But the thing about those 14 events that we go to recruit at, we pay. We pay to go to those events, and we pay to set up a booth. We pay for transportation. And Camp Adventure Weekend and Camp Adventure Week, they pay. And they're like, we're going to pay, and we break even, but they pay money to go, and we break even to do it. It's not a money-making operation. But the thing for me is people are paying money to come and hear about AIM, and they're impacted, and just getting a taste of what we do in that weekend or that week changes people. I was meeting with one of the preachers in Wasilla, Alaska yesterday, and he was talking about they've sent 19 students through the AIM program throughout the years. But he mentioned two specifically, and I don't think that they would mind me mentioning their names, but one was by the name of Ben Baker. They really questioned his motivation whenever he came to Camp Adventure Weekend. They're like, he just wanted to get out of town. He wasn't looking for a deep spiritual connection with God. He was like, hey, cool, free trip. And so he showed up. Another person that they mentioned was Mike Kakis, who's now one of the AIM coordinators in Wasilla. And they just said, we just questioned what was going to happen with this guy after he graduated from high school. And the thing for me that I love about Camp Adventure Weekend and Camp Adventure Week is I don't care what your motivation is. I feel like when they said, just come and see, whenever they were talking about coming to see Jesus, I feel that way about Camp Adventure Weekend because it exposes our campers to a small taste of what it would be like to live in community, grow in your relationship with God, grow in your Bible knowledge, and it doesn't cost AIM anything. And the way I think, if 50% of this class went to a Camp Adventure, we need to really try to get our Camp Adventure Weekend and Camp Adventure Week to grow. Chris Swinford and I, we've already talked about how next year we could be working towards having an even larger group. I'm thinking just this theme that I've been kind of encouraging about Ephesians 3:20 to dream and imagine immeasurably more and see what God does with it. I'm hoping we have 100 campers yet next year, and I hope God laughs at me and says, oh man, you think so small. But that's what I'm hoping. But it's a wave that we're enjoying right now, and so but I see how that works because you take somebody like Mike Kakis, didn't have the right motivation when he came to Camp Adventure Weekend, but he left with the right motivation. And after that, he went into the AIM program and served in South Africa. And then after that, he went through the School of Preaching in the 2-year program. And then after that, did some things in advanced missions. And now he's working full-time in Wasilla. And we have lots and lots of stories about that. And so as I think about this pipeline vision, whole people, whole gospel, whole world, wholly to please God, I think that Camp Adventure is an awesome entry point for people to come in. And just right now, about 20% of our graduates continue on in ministry. And I've had these conversations with Truett. I would rather have 20% of 100 than 20% of 40. You know, and so just do the math. It is a very amazing tool that we have, and I love how it impacts people in a very short amount of time and just plants a seed for them to continue studying in this program.